It's time for Mornings at 8 with Jonathan Mark on AM 1480 WLEA.
Oh man, where do I begin? Where do I begin this morning? There's so much going on. Well, in the first place, it is Thursday. And Thursday means, that's right, it's practically Friday. So one more day, hang in there, just one more day after Friday, and then comes the weekend, and that's always a very, very good thing. And this week has been some kind of a week. Well, as I said, where do I begin? Well, I begin yesterday in The Spectator. The lead story above the fold was, and I'll read the headline, Maple City rated among New York's best buys. How do you like that? An organization called Homesnacks. This story is by Jason Jordan. An organization called Homesnacks.net has rated Hornell, little old city of Hornell, as the third least expensive place to live in New York State. Number 3 in the entire state. So number 1 on the list of least expensive places to live was Waterloo, and that was followed by Ilion, and then comes Hornell, number 3 on this list. And I'm thinking, let me see, there are 536 villages in New York State, 536, 62 cities, and out of all that, Hornell was ranked number 3. Now, Ilion is a village in Herkimer County. It's right along the thruway up there. So it's sort of a larger village. It has a population a little more than 8,000. But Waterloo came in first, Ilion was second, and Hornell was third. That is pretty good. Now, this group or organization, whatever, bases its findings on a number of factors. I mean, a whole bunch of factors. It's pretty complicated stuff. So anyway, Hornell came in third. And last year, according to the article, let me see, last year was rated 5th in the state. And this is the 4th year of the rankings. Okay, 4th year of the rankings. So Hornell is even better than it was last year, when they did the same rating, as I said, based on a number of factors. And I think that's pretty good. We all know that Hornell is a great place to live, okay? Now we have proof positive right here in front of us. I think that's wonderful. And the group has said, among other things, that one of the reasons for this ranking is a strong economy in Hornell. A strong economy. I believe I mentioned that a couple of weeks ago on a previous show. Anyway, it does have a very strong economy. And what Mayor John Buckley said, and this is a quote, "The city provides a real bang for your buck to residents." And he pointed to the low cost of services provided by the city, including some of the state's lowest water and garbage fees, full-time fire and police service, and a transit system. So Hornell is right up there with one of the least expensive places to live in the entire state. And I think that's pretty good. That's more than pretty good. I think it's real good. I mean, that is really good. So we've all known that for a while, and we all know that Hornell is a great place. So there you go. Yeah, how do you like that? Wow, out of 536 villages and 62 cities, Hornell is ranked number 3. Wow. Anyway, yeah, so that was pretty good. And last night, as you know, as you heard on Brian's news, Congressman Tom Reed, Republican from Corning, was in Hornell, and he held a town hall meeting along with Mayor John Buckley at the VFW. And there were about 30 people in attendance. And the first question Reed was hit with was from Mayor John Buckley concerning infrastructure. And he said, "We have roads, bridges, and highways that are in dire need of repair. How is Congress, especially the Problem Solvers Caucus, going to deal with this?" And Reed's response, Reed is always, Congressman Reed is always a gentleman. You get him at these public hearings, these public town hall meetings, and he's a really nice, gentlemanly type guy. And he said, this is basically a $1 trillion question. Remember years ago when we used to call the question like that as the $64,000 question, right? And then it was $1 million question. Well, now it's a $1 trillion question. He says we need to come up with over $1 trillion to fund this, and how are we going to do that? Well, our plan involves three different things. The first being financing or bonding to raise capital, creative new revenue sources, excluding higher taxes on gasoline and public-private partnerships. It's going to be difficult, and a lot of folks are saying it might not happen because we are getting into the 2020 presidential election. Oh, by the way, our man on the scene last night was Bill Dugan. He did an excellent job. The entire meeting is on our website, WLEA.net. So if you want to see this thing, it's still there right now. And he was there with our video camera and tape recorder and all that stuff. So he has his whole thing on the website. And of course, as you may well guess, also Trump was brought up. Impeachment, not impeachment. Trump, yes. Trump, no. This question is, everybody in the country is all up in arms over this. You're either for impeachment or against impeachment, for Trump or against Trump. I don't think anybody is sitting on the fence anymore. No one is on the fence anymore. So the meeting got a little heated at times, and Brian has a bit toward the end, I believe, where somebody apparently was really all for impeachment.
The evidence we obtained about the president's actions
and they're reading here from the Mullen Report. The guy in the audience who was pushing for impeachment was reading from the Mullen Report.
The evidence we obtained about the president's actions and intent presents difficult questions that would need to be resolved if we were making a traditional prosecutorial judgment. At the same time, if we had confidence after a thorough investigation of the facts that the president clearly did not commit obstructions of justice, we would so state. Based on the facts and the applicable legal standards, we are unable to reach that judgment. Doesn't it bother you that somebody who, like you said, has been invested with $40 million, has spent 2.5 years investigating something, and is unable to exonerate the President of the United States? Doesn't it give you pause to think about it? Does not exonerate.
Doesn't it give you a concern that you are judging him guilty as opposed to presumption of innocent that has to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt to be guilty? And what Mueller is saying,
Congress of the United States.
No. What Mueller is saying.
Hey, come on, we came here to hear him, not you.
What Mueller is saying.
You had your say. Shut up.
Hey, there you go. It's a town hall meeting, and everybody's pretty upset about this. You're either for impeachment or against impeachment, or you like Trump or you don't like Trump, and that's in Hornell. That's how we are. People speak their minds, and that's why Congressman Reed holds these town hall meetings, and Mayor John Buckley, to find people's input, and they got it last night. Yep, things got just a little tiny bit heated last night. So, while we're on the subject, U.S. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand calls for impeachment. U.S. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand has released the following statement in response to Special Counsel Robert Mueller's press briefing. And I quote, this is Senator Gillibrand. From the beginning, I have called for a proper process in order to secure key testimony and information related to the Mueller investigation, so that Congress, as a co-equal branch of government, can fulfill its responsibility to deliver the truth to the American people. But the White House, she says, has repeatedly stonewalled Congress's ability to take basic fact-finding steps and make an informed decision. Combined with the fact that Robert Mueller clearly expects Congress to exercise its constitutional authority and take steps that he could not, it's time for Republicans and Democrats to begin impeachment hearings and follow the facts wherever they may lead. We cannot let this president defy basic accountability measures built into our Constitution. And that was Senator Kirsten Gillibrand.
Now, if I could jump in, Jonathan?
Yes.
Congressman Tom Reed had a press call yesterday, and I asked him a question about what Senator Kamala Harris out of California said on the same topic, which was pretty much a very similar statement as to what Senator Gillibrand said.
Sure.
And I have Reed's response.
Good.
I obviously am not surprised, given her political ambitions to hold the seat of the President of the United States, that she would go down that path. But I think it's clear. Going down impeachment path is something that is not warranted. I do not support it, and I believe that this is a partisan exercise, primarily motivated for political purposes, and is what I guess the Democratic Party wants to do going into the 2020 presidential election cycle. When you overturn the voice of the people by way of an impeachment process, that is something that the other side should seriously reconsider in doing, if that is the path they so choose to pursue.
And it is kind of interesting to note that while Trump did lose the popular vote, he won the Electoral College vote. So probably that's why a lot of people want to do away with the Electoral College, because that's why Trump was elected. It's the way the process works. It's built into our form of government. So because he won because of the Electoral College, people want to do away with the Electoral College. What a surprise. Anyway, this has been going on for like 2.5 years. This is 2.5 years. And there's still about a year and a half left. So it's going to be a very interesting year and a half. And this is from, where did I get this? Let me see, Fox News. Robert Mueller Russia probe statement will cause state of chaos. That's in quotes, state of chaos until 2020 election, Gowdy says. President Trump's critics will throw Washington into, quote, chaos in the wake of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's statement about the Russia investigation, according to Trey Gowdy. He says Gowdy, a former South Carolina Republican congressman, made the claim yesterday, Wednesday, on the Daily Briefing, adding dozens of Democratic lawmakers voted in favor of articles of impeachment before Mueller began his probe. Now, unless they were psychic, or unless they were Nostradamus-like, I mean, how could they have known that? Because he hadn't even started his probe. But they wanted to impeach him anyway. So as I said, maybe they're psychic. Who knows? You know, what some people are. So the ex-lawmaker, Gowdy, said he believed Mueller's remarks will spur Democrats and other critics of Trump to embark on an impeachment investigation from now until the 2020 election. That's still a year and a half away. Whew. We will be in this state of chaos for the next 14 months, Gowdy said. What you're going to have now for the next 14 months is an impeachment investigation by folks who have already made up their minds. The jury's never going to convict them. And here we go. He said, I don't think there's a prosecutable case of obstruction. He added, from what I have seen, firing Jim Comey was not an obstruction. Gowdy also fired back at House Judiciary Chairman Gerald Nadler, who declared Wednesday Congress will take action to hold the president accountable for his misconduct. Nadler, the Democrat from New York, also claimed Trump is, quote, lying about Mueller's findings, lying and saying the special counsel found no obstruction and no collusion. So, with respect to the impeachment question at this point, said Gowdy, all options are on the table. So, anyway, there we go. It just goes on and on and on. Endlessly, it keeps going. Even though the investigation's over, it keeps going anyway. It's very tiring after a while. I mean, really? You think probably that the business of running the country on a day-to-day basis would be more important than this, but I guess not. So we are going to take a break, and we will be right back.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
In the NHL, Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final was decided in sudden death overtime with the Blues beating the Bruins in Boston 3-2. Carl Gunnarsson with the game-winning goal in sudden death for St. Louis as the Blues get their first ever Stanley Cup Final victory in their franchise's history. 14 games it took them in the final to finally get that first win. More importantly, though, the series is tied at 1-1. Game 3 will be Saturday in St. Louis as the Bruins' 8-game postseason win streak comes to an end with that loss. Some baseball games of note, battle of division leaders in Houston where the Cubs edge the Astros 2-1. Chicago avoids the sweep in that series with the win. Chris Bryant's solo homer was the difference. The Dodgers were down 8-3 at home against the Mets. They rally all the way back with 4 in the ninth for a 9-8 walk-off win. Yankees shut out the Padres 7-0. It was the Rays walking off with a 4-3 win over the Blue Jays in 11 innings. New York remains 1 game up on Tampa Bay atop the AL East standings.
New to golf or seasoned veteran, you'll enjoy the casual, relaxed atmosphere of Vanderview Golf Course. 2 miles from downtown Alfred on Waterwells Road, Vanderview is a 9-hole executive-length golf course with a driving range on one side of the road and the course on the other. Family-friendly and fun recreation for everyone. Greens fees are one price for unlimited play, $9.50. High school students, only $5. Children 12 and under with an adult, no charge. You can play up to 18 holes or 9 holes with a cart and get the second 9 holes at no additional charge. Ladies and senior golfers who don't hit the long ball, Vanderview's got the executive length that's just right for your game. And new this year, a season pass for only $100. That's a lot of golfing fun for a very little bit of money. Vanderview Golf Course, 2 miles from downtown Alfred on Waterwells Road. Vanderview Golf Course.
From the Fox Business Network, Fiat Chrysler's merger plan with Renault is being investigated by the French government and unions. They want to make sure it protects jobs at Renault, which is based in France. A Wall Street firm that purchased homes following the financial crisis to rent is selling a piece of the business. The Wall Street Journal says Blackstone Group has sold more than $1 billion of its Invitation Homes investment. Blackstone invested with private equity money, and it is approaching deadlines to return that money to investors. Target is recalling 90,000 Lightning USB cables because they could cause a shock or fire. Target has received reports of the cords smoking, even igniting. USA Today says the cables come in bright purple, green, and blue and are labeled Heyday. The Dow was down 221 yesterday. NASDAQ dropped 60. The S&P lost 19. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Jenny Cosola.
Prescription products require an online physician consultation and are only available if the physician determines a prescription is appropriate. See website for full details.
Hey guys, good news. The expensive little blue pill is now generic, which means you can get the prescription medication to treat ED at affordable prices. And now get your first month's supply for just $5 at 4hims.com/Chris. Hims connects you with real doctors online who can prescribe the medication. And a pharmacy sends it right to your door. So easy. To get your first order for just $5, you need to go to 4hims.com/Chris. That's 4hims.com/Chris.
Today at Simmons Rockwell Nissan in Horseheads and Hornell, drive away in a new Nissan Pathfinder lease for only $249 a month. A new 2019 Nissan Pathfinder 4x4S model with 7-passenger seating and 18-inch alloys, lease for $249 a month for 36 months. Only $2,500 cash or trade. Tax and DMV fees are due at signing. Shop Simmons-Rockwell.com.
Okay, and we are back. Now, coming up on the Newsmaker program in about 10 minutes or so, Brian's going to do a replay of The Ring of Fire, which aired, last week?
Yeah, that's a show that's on Saturday nights here on WLEA.
Okay. And they're going to be talking about drugs. Okay? So, drugs. We have 390 coming down from Rochester. We have 86 coming from New York or places west of here. Drugs are a really big problem, and they will be talking about that. And to add to all that, this is from, NBC News, the bitter lessons about the dangers of cocaine from the disco era in the 1970s may be lost on a new generation of drug abusers. A phenomenon known as generational forgetting may be one of the reasons for the deadly uptick in cocaine deaths from the federal CDC that the federal CDC reported this week. Apparently, certain drugs seem to go in and out of style. And right now we're seeing an uptick in cocaine use. And we're hitting that point in the cycle where we're starting to see more fatal overdoses. This is not good news. Obviously, there's a generational piece to this, says Hans Breiter, a Northwestern University professor of psychiatry and one of the world's leading experts on how cocaine stimulates the human brain. Narcotics abusers may be turning to cocaine again, in part because there's been a lot of bad press about other drugs, Breiter said. On Thursday, the CDC reported that overdose deaths involving cocaine began rising around 2012 and jumped by more than a third between 2016 and 2017. CDC researchers also found that almost 3/4 of the deaths involving cocaine in 2017 were among people who had also taken opioids. But deaths involving cocaine alone also increased, said the CDC's Lawrence Scholl, who was one of the study's authors. That could be because there's more cocaine on the streets, and he said we have a greater supply of cocaine now than we did 10 years ago. And he says, my understanding is production has fallen off in South America, and it's been increasing again. And apparently, people now who are doing cocaine weren't around in the 1970s. So they're unaware this stuff can give you a heart attack just like that. I mean, it is deadly stuff. So apparently, after all this time, it's gone back to cocaine. That's very alarming news. I mean, we have enough problems with what? Meth and opioids and fentanyl and heroin, and now it's cocaine again. Well, that's really not very good news. So that should be a very interesting newsmaker this morning. However, I don't have a lot of time left, but I do have one good story. I've had to find something good somewhere. This is from WCNC in North Carolina. He's a bright star around Sun Valley Middle School. Jerome Sutton has been a crossing guard there for 27 years. Each day he greets walkers, bikers, drivers, and anyone else with enthusiasm and a smile. Early in the morning he said, I really don't want to see a grouchy person. So he's been named a school hero by the North Carolina Education Lottery, and he was awarded $10,000 for his 27 years of effort being a crossing guard. They call him a positive energy, a good role model, and also the principal of the school tells the WCNC the school plans on using the money for a program to develop leadership within young students. Sutton plans on working for the school system for years to come. How cool is that? A crossing guard honored for 27 years of service with $10,000. I think that's really good. That's really neat. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow at 8:05. Bye.